The chamber of the Galactic Council was massive. 7 species sat in a circle, each one more impressive than the last. Their seats floated in the air, held by technology that humans were only beginning to understand. At the center of the room stood Ambassador Jinsu Park, representing Earth and all of humanity. Jinsu wore a simple gray suit. He looked small compared to the aliens around him. The Galactic Council had been meeting for thousands of years, long before humans even discovered fire. They had evaluated countless species, deciding who could join their union and who could not. Today, they were deciding about Earth. High Magistrate Vexthor spoke first. His body was made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. When he moved, his form made a sound like wind chimes. He had lived for 800 years and seen many species come before the Council. "We have reviewed the human application," Vexthor said. His voice echoed in the chamber. "The data is complete. Let us discuss." Councillor Jakara leaned forward. She was reptilian, covered in dark green scales that looked like armor. Her yellow eyes focused on Jinsu with something that looked like amusement. She had never liked weak species. "I must speak plainly," Jakara said. "Humans are fragile. They break bones from simple falls. They need to eat multiple times each day or they become weak. Their bodies fail in heat or cold. They have no natural weapons, no armor, no telepathic abilities. They live barely 100 years if they are lucky." Other council members nodded. Councillor Talara, whose insect-like body glittered with silver chitin, added her thoughts. "The humans do show some promise in cooperation among themselves. But this is common. Many species work together within their own kind." "What makes them special?" asked Councillor Breck, a being made entirely of energy contained in a spherical field. "Every species here surpasses humans in strength, in speed, in intelligence, in longevity. What unique trait do they bring to the Council?" Jinsu listened quietly. He did not interrupt. His face remained calm, even as the Council listed all the ways humans were inferior. He had expected this. Earth's government had prepared him for rejection. They had told him that the first application rarely succeeded. Vexthor pulled up holographic displays. Images of humans appeared in the air. Charts showed human physical capabilities compared to other species. Every chart showed humans in the lower ranges. There were no categories where humans excelled beyond other council members. "Their technology is adequate but not remarkable," Vexthor said. "They have achieved space travel, but so have thousands of species. They have nuclear power, but this is considered basic by council standards. Their medical science is good, but again, not exceptional." Councillor Irvesh spoke next. He was tall and thin, with skin that changed colors based on his emotions. Right now, it was a dismissive shade of purple. "I see no reason to accept this application. The humans would contribute little. They would require protection. They would be a burden on council resources." "I agree," Jakara said. "Perhaps in another 1,000 years, if they survive, they might develop traits worth considering. But today, they are simply too weak, too limited, too ordinary." The vote was called. One by one, the council members voted. Each one voted to reject Earth's application. Not a single voice spoke in favor of humanity. Vexthor turned to Jinsu. "Ambassador Park, the Galactic Council has decided. Your application for membership is denied. Earth does not meet the minimum requirements at this time. You may reapply in 50 years if humanity shows significant advancement." Jinsu bowed his head slightly. "The people of Earth thank the Council for their time and consideration. We understand your decision. We hope that one day we might prove ourselves worthy of joining your union." His voice was steady. He showed no anger, no disappointment, no hurt pride. This surprised some of the council members. Most species argued when rejected. They made speeches about their worth, They challenged the decision, but Jin Su simply accepted it with grace. "You take this rejection well," Vexthor observed. "Most species protest." "The Council has its reasons," Jin Su said. "We respect your judgment. If we are not ready, then we must work harder. That is all." Jakara laughed, a harsh sound. "At least they know their place. That is something." Jin Su gathered his materials. He prepared to leave the chamber. He had failed in his mission, but he had done his best. Earth would be disappointed, but they would try again someday. Then the alarm started. Red lights flashed throughout the station. A loud warning tone filled the chamber. The council members looked at each other in concern. This was an emergency signal. Something serious was happening. Vexthor touched a control panel. A holographic screen appeared, showing a Galactic Council officer. The officer looked panicked. "High Magistrate, we have received a distress signal from the mining colony on Theta 7. They are under attack by the Krill." The council chamber erupted in urgent voices. The Krill were a nightmare species. They were a hive mind, thousands of creatures acting as one. They attacked without warning and showed no mercy. They consumed everything in their path. "How many civilians are on Theta 7? Vexthor demanded. 12,000, High Magistrate, including families from 5 different council species. They have children there." Jakara stood up quickly. "We must send military forces immediately." "Our nearest fleet is 6 hours away," the officer reported. "The colony shields will fail in 3 hours. The Krill will break through and massacre everyone." The council fell silent. 3 hours, 12,000 lives. There was no time. Vexthor worked frantically at his controls, searching for any ship that might be close enough to help. His crystal body turned from blue to red, showing his stress. Then he stopped. His color shifted to surprised orange. "There is one vessel within range," he said slowly. 47 minutes away." "Which species?" Breck asked hopefully. "Who can save them?" Vexthor looked at Jin Su. The ambassador was still standing in the chamber, his materials in hand. "It is a human ship," Vexthor said. "A science vessel called the Harmony. It is the only ship close enough to arrive before the shields fail." Every council member turned to look at Jin Su. The weak humans, the fragile species they had just rejected. Now they were the only hope for 12,000 council citizens. Jin Su met their eyes calmly. "If the council wishes, I can contact the Harmony and ask them to help." "They are unarmed researchers," Jakara said quietly. "What can they do against the Krill?" But Vexthor was already nodding. "Contact your ship, Ambassador Park. Please, we have no other options." Jin Su pulled out his communication device. "I will ask them, but I already know what they will say." "What will they say?" Vexthor asked. Jin Su smiled slightly. "They will say yes. That is what humans do." The council chamber transformed into a war room. Holographic screens filled the air, showing maps of the Theta 7 system. Red dots marked the Krill swarm positions. A blue circle showed the mining colony, its protective shields weakening with each passing minute. Jin Su spoke into his communication device. "Harmony, this is Ambassador Park. Are you receiving?" A woman's voice came through, calm and professional. "Ambassador, this is Captain Haewon Kim. We received the distress signal 3 minutes ago. We are already changing course to Theta 7. Vexthor leaned forward, his crystal body now glowing bright with hope. "Captain Kim, this is High Magistrate Vexthor of the Galactic Council. Your ship is unarmed, the Krill number in the thousands. We appreciate your willingness to help, but what can you do?" There was a pause. Then Captain Kim spoke again. "We will do what we can, High Magistrate. Every life matters." "We will not leave those people to die without trying." Jakara made a dismissive sound. "Brave words, but words do not stop the Krill. This is foolish. The humans will die along with the colonists. Jinsu turned to face her. For the first time, his calm expression changed slightly. There was something in his eyes that made Jakara uncomfortable. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was certainty. Captain Kim does not make empty promises, Jinsu said quietly. If she says she will try, then she will find a way. The screens showed the Harmony changing course. It was a small ship designed for research and exploration. It had no weapons, no armor, no military capabilities. It looked like a child's toy compared to Council warships. Counselor Talara clicked her mandibles together nervously. I have family on Theta 7. My sister and her children, please, if there is any chance. Her voice broke. The usually composed council member was crying. Other council members showed their own signs of distress. They all knew people on that colony. Miners and their families, scientists, teachers, children. 40 minutes until the Harmony arrives, an officer reported. The colony shields are at 60% and dropping fast. Vexthor opened a communication channel to the colony. A face appeared on the screen. It was Administrator Kaval, a being with 4 eyes and gray skin. Behind him, people were running in panic. Administrator, help is coming, Vexthor said. Hold on. Keep those shields up as long as possible. We are trying, High Magistrate, Kaval said. His voice shook with fear. But the Krill are relentless. They pound against the shields without stopping. My people are terrified. We have children in the shelters. If the shields fail... He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Everyone knew what happened when the Krill broke through defenses. The council watched the screens in silence. The minutes crawled by. Each one felt like an hour. The red dots of the Krill swarm pulsed on the displays, like a heartbeat of death surrounding the colony. Shields at 45%, the officer called out. Counselor Irvesh, whose skin had turned a sickly yellow color, spoke up. Even if the human ship arrives in time, what can it do? The Krill do not negotiate. They do not retreat. They are a force of nature. They exist only to consume and destroy. That is what we have always believed, Jinsu said. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the screens. But has anyone ever tried to talk to them? Talk to them? Jakara said with disbelief. They are mindless creatures. A hive mind with no individual thought. They exist only for hunger. Even hunger has a reason, Jinsu said. The council members looked at him strangely. They did not understand what he meant. The Krill had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. They appeared without warning, attacked colonies, consumed resources, and disappeared. No one had ever communicated with them. Most people thought it was impossible. 20 minutes until arrival, the officer said. Shields at 38%. On the screens, they could see the colony more clearly now. Families huddled in shelters. Defense forces fired useless weapons at the Krill, trying to buy time. The Krill swarm looked like a dark cloud surrounding the colony, pressing against the shields from all sides. Captain Kim's voice came through the speakers again. Ambassador, I need you to send me everything the Council has on the Krill, their history, their attacks, their patterns, everything. Vexthor immediately began transferring data. Sending now, Captain. But I must warn you there is very little information. The Krill do not leave survivors who can study them. Every piece of information helps, Captain Kim said. Thank you, High Magistrate. The Council waited. They watched as the Harmony sped through space, a small blue dot on the display racing toward the red cloud of death. It looked impossible. It looked like suicide. Shields at 25%, the officer announced. His voice was grim. They are breaking through faster now. Talara made a sound of despair. Tears ran down her face. She was watching her family die, and she was powerless to stop it. Jinsu walked over to her. He placed a hand gently on her arm. Talara looked at him in surprise. Physical contact between species was unusual in council chambers, but there was something comforting about the gesture. "Your family will survive," Jinsu said. "Captain Kim has never failed when lives are at stake. Trust her." "How can you be so sure?" Talara asked. "You do not even know if your plan will work. You do not have a plan." "We always have a plan," Jinsu said with a small smile. "It is just not the kind of plan you might expect." 5 minutes until arrival," the officer said. "Shields at 18%. They will fail in approximately 8 minutes. The timing was impossible. Even if the Harmony arrived, it would only have 3 minutes before the shields collapsed completely. 3 minutes to do something that had never been done before. 3 minutes to save 12,000 lives. The screens showed the Harmony entering the system. It dropped out of faster-than-light travel and appeared on the display. The small blue dot moved toward the massive red swarm. "Shields at 12%, the officer reported. "Structural damage beginning on the eastern shield generators." Jakara stood up from her seat. Despite her earlier dismissal of humans, she could not look away from the screens. None of them could. They were watching either a miracle or a tragedy unfold. The Harmony reached the edge of the krill swarm. The ship did not slow down. It did not turn away. It flew straight into the mass of alien creatures, disappearing into the red cloud on the display. "Captain Kim, what are you doing?" Vexthor called out. "You have flown into the swarm. Pull back." There was no response. Static filled the communication channel. The council held their breath. Then something impossible happened. The red cloud on the display began to change. The krill stopped pressing against the colony shields. The swarm seemed to pause, as if confused. "Shields holding at 11%, the officer said with surprise. "The krill have stopped their attack." "What is happening?" Vexthor demanded. "Can anyone see the human ship?" The screens flickered. Then a new signal came through. It was Captain Kim, but she was not speaking to the council. She was broadcasting on all frequencies, including ones the council had never used before. She was speaking in a language that sounded like clicks and hums and strange whistles. She was speaking to the krill. And incredibly, impossibly, the krill seemed to be listening. The council chamber was completely silent. Every member stared at the screens in shock. The sounds coming from the speakers made no sense to them. Captain Kim was making noises that seemed random, but the krill were responding. The swarm was moving, shifting, changing its formation. "She is speaking their language," Jinsu said quietly. "She learned it from the old records." "That is impossible," Jakara whispered. "The krill do not have a language. They are mindless." "Everything with a mind has a way to communicate," Jinsu replied. "We just have to be willing to listen." On the screens, the Harmony floated in the center of the krill swarm. The creatures surrounded the small human ship, but they were not attacking it. They were moving in patterns, almost like they were dancing around the vessel. Captain Kim's voice came through again, this time speaking in standard council language. "High Magistrate Vexthor, I am opening a communication channel with the krill hive mind. Please observe, but do not interfere." "How is this possible?" Vexthor asked. His crystal body flickered with confused colors. "Captain, we have fought the krill for 300 years. No one has ever communicated with them." "That is because no one ever tried," Captain Kim said. Her voice was gentle without accusation. "They were labeled as monsters, so everyone only saw them as monsters. But when I reviewed your data, I noticed something. The krill only attack colonies with large food supplies, mining operations with organic resources, agricultural stations. They never attack military bases or empty facilities." Counselor Breck, the energy being, spoke up. "We noticed this pattern too. We assumed they were strategic, hitting our most valuable targets." They are not being strategic, Captain Kim said. They are starving. The words hung in the air. Starving. The council members looked at each other with growing realization. How had they never considered this? Captain Kim continued. I studied the old records from 600 years ago. Before the Krill became raiders, they lived on 7 worlds in the Beta Quadrant. Then the Velkath Empire invaded that region. The Velkath stripped those worlds of all resources before they collapsed as a civilization. The Krill home worlds became dead rocks, unable to produce food, unable to sustain life. The Velkath have been extinct for 4 centuries, Vexthor said, but they did terrible damage before they fell. Yes, Captain Kim agreed. They destroyed the Krill homeworlds. The Krill had no choice but to leave. They have been wandering space ever since, desperately searching for food. Every attack we called aggression was actually desperation. They are refugees, not invaders. Talara stepped forward, her voice shaking. But they kill people. They destroy colonies. Because they are dying, Captain Kim said. When you are starving, when your entire species faces extinction, you become willing to do anything to survive. The Krill do not want to kill. They want to eat. They want to live. The screens showed the Krill swarm beginning to pull back from the colony shields. Slowly, carefully, the creatures moved away from the colony. The colonists inside watched in amazement as their attackers retreated without a single shot being fired. Shields stabilizing at 11%, the officer reported. His voice was filled with wonder. They are withdrawing. Jinsu smiled. It was the first genuine smile anyone in the council had seen from him. Captain Kim, what do you need from us? I need nutrient synthesizers, Captain Kim said. Technology that can produce food from basic materials. The Krill can consume almost anything organic, but they need large quantities. If we give them the ability to create their own food, they will not need to raid colonies anymore. Vexthor did not hesitate. We will send everything you need immediately. What else? I need permission to beam down 3 of my crew members. They are diplomats and xenobiologists. They need to speak with the Krill hive mind directly to establish a long-term solution. Jakara stood up abruptly. You want to send your people down there? Into the middle of the Krill? That is suicide. It is necessary, Captain Kim said calmly. Trust must be built face to face, or face to whatever the Krill have. Jinsu spoke directly to Captain Kim. Who is leading the team? Dr. Minji Choi, Captain Kim answered. She volunteered. She specializes in first contact situations. Then she will succeed, Jinsu said with confidence. Permission granted from Earth's representative. Vexthor looked at Jinsu, then at the screens showing the retreating Krill. He made a decision that went against centuries of council policy. Permission granted from the Galactic Council. Captain Kim, your people may proceed. We will send the synthesizers within the hour. The screens changed to show the surface of Theta 7. A transport beam brought 3 humans down to the planet's surface, just outside the colony shields. Dr. Minji Choi stood in the center, flanked by 2 other scientists. They wore no armor, carried no weapons. They stood in the open air, completely vulnerable. The Krill began to approach them. Thousands of creatures moved forward, their bodies making clicking sounds. They looked like a nightmare, a mass of shells and legs and eyes. The council members watched in horror, certain they were about to witness the humans being torn apart. But Dr. Choi did not run. She did not show fear. She stepped forward to meet them. She began to make the same clicking and humming sounds that Captain Kim had used. She was speaking to them. The Krill surrounded the 3 humans, but they did not attack. They listened. For 2 hours, Dr. Choi spoke with the Krill. The council watched through cameras mounted on the human equipment. They saw something they had never imagined possible. The The krill were not mindless. They were not monsters. They were a species in pain, driven to terrible actions by desperate hunger. Dr. Choi learned their history. The krill told her about their beautiful home worlds before the destruction. They told her about watching their people die slowly as food ran out. They told her about the shame they felt when they had to attack others to survive. They did not want to be killers. They wanted to be what they once were, a peaceful species of artists and builders. When the nutrient synthesizers arrived, Dr. Choi showed the krill how to use them. The machines could take raw materials from rocks and soil and transform them into nutrition that the krill could consume. It was not as good as natural food, but it was enough. It was survival. The krill tested the machines. They worked perfectly. For the first time in 600 years, the krill did not have to kill to eat. They did not have to raid to survive. The hive mind spoke to Dr. Choi. Through her translator, the council heard the krill's words for the first time. Why do you help us? We have caused your people harm. We have destroyed council property. We are your enemy. Dr. Choi's answer was simple. You are not our enemy. You are hungry. You are suffering. That makes you someone who needs help, not someone who deserves punishment. We are human. We help those who suffer. That is what we do. The krill were silent for a long moment. Then they began to withdraw completely from Theta 7. They took the synthesizers with them. Every single krill left the system peacefully. The colony was saved. All 12,000 people were safe. Not a single life was lost. In the council chamber, nobody spoke. They were trying to understand what they had just witnessed. The humans had done something the entire Galactic Council had failed to do for 3 centuries. They had made peace with the krill. And they had done it not with weapons or threats, but with kindness and understanding. Jakara sat down slowly in her chair. Her yellow eyes stared at Jin-Soo. "What are you?" she asked quietly. 3 days passed before the council summoned Jin-Soo back to their chamber. In those 3 days, everything had changed. News of what happened at Theta 7 spread across the galaxy. The humans had made peace with the krill. The impossible had become possible. Jin-Soo entered the chamber and found all 7 council members waiting for him. Their expressions were different now. There was no dismissal in their eyes, no mockery. Instead, there was curiosity and something that might have been respect. Vexthor spoke first. His crystal body glowed a warm golden color. "Ambassador Park, the council wishes to speak with you. We have questions." "I am happy to answer," Jin-Soo said. He stood in the same spot he had occupied 3 days earlier, but this time he felt the attention of the council focused on him in a completely different way. "How did you know?" Vexthor asked. "How did your people know to negotiate with the krill? How did Captain Kim know their language? How did Dr. Choi know what to say?" Jin-Soo smiled slightly. "We studied your archives, High Magistrate. We read every report about the krill going back 600 years. We noticed patterns that others had missed. The krill only attacked food sources. They never destroyed anything they did not need to destroy. They took supplies but rarely killed unless forced to fight. These were not the actions of mindless killers. These were the actions of desperate refugees." Counselor Talara stepped forward. Her mandibles clicked softly. "My family is alive because of your people. Dr. Choi and Captain Kim saved them. But I must ask, why did you help us? We had just rejected your application. We had insulted your species, called you weak and useless. You had every reason to refuse our request for help." "Did we?" Jin-Soo asked gently. "You had people dying, children in danger. What kind of species would we be if we refused to help just because our feelings were hurt? Lives are more important than pride." The council members looked at each other. This concept seemed strange to them. In their experience, species acted based on self-interest, alliance, political advantage. But the humans had helped without asking for anything in return. Counselor Irvesh, whose skin shifted to a thoughtful blue color, spoke up. We have been reviewing other incidents involving humans, things we ignored before. 3 months ago, humans mediated a border dispute between the Kroll and the Vex. They asked for no payment. 2 years ago, humans shared medical technology with the Then colonies during their plague outbreak. They asked for no trade agreements in return. 5 years ago, when the mining accident happened on Regulus Prime, the first rescue ships to arrive were human. Not council ships, human ships. We did not notice these things, Vexthor admitted. We saw humans as insignificant, so we paid no attention to their actions. That was our mistake. Jakara stood up from her seat. She walked toward Jinsu slowly. The ambassador watched her approach calmly. When she stood before him, she looked down at him. She was much taller than any human. I mocked your species, she said. I called you fragile, weak, useless. I was wrong. I owe you an apology. Jinsu bowed his head. You were not wrong about our physical limitations. We are fragile. We do break easily. We do need constant food and favorable temperatures. But being physically weak taught us something important. What did it teach you? Jakara asked. It taught us that we cannot survive alone, Jinsu said. When you are strong, you can dominate. When you are weak, you must cooperate. When you cannot fight, you must understand. When you cannot take what you need by force, you must build relationships. Our weakness became our strength because it forced us to develop other abilities. Empathy, diplomacy. The ability to see situations from different perspectives. Vexthor's body pulsed with light. You are saying that your species' greatest strength comes from your greatest weakness? Yes, Jinsu said. Throughout human history, we have been prey animals. Other creatures were stronger, faster, had better weapons built into their bodies. We should have gone extinct, but we survived because we learned to work together. We learned to understand each other. We learned to solve problems through cooperation rather than confrontation. These skills kept us alive on Earth. Now they allow us to help others in the galaxy. Counselor Breck, the energy being, created patterns of light as he thought. The Council has always valued strength, military power, technological superiority, advanced weaponry. We chose members based on what they could contribute to our defense capabilities. We never considered that there might be other valuable traits. Like the ability to make peace instead of war, Jinsu suggested. Yes, Breck admitted. We were so focused on protecting ourselves from threats that we never thought about preventing those threats from developing in the first place. The Krill were our enemy for 300 years. Your people ended that conflict in 3 hours, not with weapons, but with understanding. Talara came forward and placed one of her limbs on Jinsu's shoulder. It was a gesture of friendship among her people. Ambassador Park, I want to thank you personally. My sister and her children are alive. They are safe. I will never forget what your people did. Dr. Choi would say she was just doing her job, Jinsu said. Humans believe that every life has value. Protecting those lives is not something we do for reward. It is simply the right thing to do. The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then Vexthor turned to the other council members. I believe we need to reconsider our decision about humanity's application. Before anyone could respond, alarms sounded again. The same red lights that had warned them about Theta 7 began flashing. The council members moved quickly to their stations. What is happening now? Jakara demanded. An officer's face appeared on the screens. She looked frightened. High Magistrate, we are detecting subspace anomalies throughout Council space. Tiers are forming in the fabric of space itself. Vexthor pulled up data displays. The screens showed readings that made no sense. Space was literally tearing apart in multiple locations. How many tiers? 17 so far, the officer reported, and more are forming. If they continue to grow, they will destroy entire star systems. We have inhabited worlds in those systems. How long until they reach critical size? Vexthor asked. Based on current growth rates, we have approximately 48 hours before the first system is destroyed, 72 hours before multiple systems fall. Counselor Yervesh worked frantically at his console. I am accessing all Council scientific data on subspace phenomena. We have encountered tiers before, but never this many at once, and never growing this quickly. Can we stop them? Talara asked. All previous attempts to seal subspace tiers have failed, Yervesh said. We tried force fields, gravitational manipulation, even antimatter injections. Nothing works. The tiers consume everything we throw at them. Jinsu had been listening quietly. Now he pulled out his communication device. May I contact Earth? Of course, Vexthor said. But Ambassador, this is beyond anything we have encountered. If the Council's greatest scientists cannot solve this, I do not see how— He stopped himself. After what happened with the krill, he had learned not to underestimate humans. Jinsu spoke into his device. This is Ambassador Park. I need to speak with Dr. Jae-hoon Song at the Seoul Research Center, emergency priority. A moment later, a man's voice came through. Ambassador, this is Dr. Song. We have been monitoring the situation. The subspace tears are visible from Earth's observatories. We have been studying the phenomenon for the past 6 hours. Have you found anything? Jinsu asked. We think so, Dr. Song said. But it is unconventional. The Council may not believe our solution will work. Jinsu looked at Vexthor. Dr. Song says he may have a solution. We will listen to anything at this point, Vexthor said desperately. Please put him through to the main chamber. Dr. Song's image appeared on the screens. He was young, wearing a simple white lab coat. Behind him, dozens of human scientists worked at computers. Dr. Jae-hoon Song looked at the Council members through the screen. He showed no nervousness despite speaking to the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He simply began explaining his findings. We have analyzed the subspace tiers, Dr. Song said. The Council's approach has been to fight them, to use force and energy to seal them closed. This does not work because you are treating the tiers like enemies that must be defeated, but they are not enemies. They are wounds. Wounds, Vexthor repeated. In space itself? Yes, Dr. Song said. Subspace is not empty nothing. It is a living system. It has structure, flow, and natural healing processes. When you try to force a tier closed with energy and technology, you are like someone trying to seal a wound on a body by hitting it with a hammer. You cause more damage. Jakara leaned forward, her scales rippling with interest. If they are wounds, how do we heal them? The same way wounds heal in any living system, Dr. Song explained, by working with the natural processes, not against them. We have developed biotechnological ships that can interact with subspace at a fundamental level. They do not force the tiers closed. They encourage space to heal itself. Counselor Briek's energy field pulsed with skepticism. How can technology encourage space to heal? Space does not respond to encouragement. Dr. Song smiled. That is where Council science and human science differ. Council species develop technology by dominating their environments. You bent nature to your will through force and intelligence. This works very well for many things, but humans developed differently. How so? Vexthor asked. Humans are weak, as you noticed, Dr. Song said without shame. We could not dominate Earth's environment. We were not strong enough. So instead, we learned to cooperate with it. We studied how nature works and found ways to work alongside it. Our biotechnology does not force nature to obey. It listens to what nature is trying to do and helps it happen more efficiently. Jin Su added his own explanation. When a human gets a wound, we do not force it closed with metal clamps. We clean it, protect it, and let the body heal itself. We work with the body's natural healing ability. Dr. Song's technology does the same thing with space. Counselor Talara clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. Can you demonstrate this technology? We can, Dr. Song said. We have 3 biotech ships ready to deploy. They are currently at the edge of Council space. With your permission, we will send them to the nearest tear. You have our permission, Vexthor said immediately. Please proceed. The screens changed to show the closest subspace tear. It looked like a crack in reality itself, growing larger every minute. Space around it was distorted and broken. Any ship that got too close would be torn apart. 3 small human ships appeared on the display. They were unlike any vessels the Council had seen before. Their hulls seemed organic, almost alive. They moved smoothly, like fish swimming through water. Beginning healing process, Dr. Song announced. The 3 ships approached the tear carefully. Instead of firing energy weapons or deploying force fields, they simply moved around the edges of the tear. They released streams of something that looked like silver mist. The mist spread across the tear, covering it like a blanket. What is that substance? Irvesh asked, fascinated. Quantum biological particles, Dr. Song explained. They exist partially in normal space and partially in subspace. They act as a bridge, connecting the torn edges and encouraging them to reconnect naturally. Think of it like stitching a wound, but the stitches are alive and know how to guide the healing process. The Council watched in amazement. Slowly, incredibly, the tear began to shrink. The edges pulled together, guided by the silver particles. The distortions in space smoothed out. After 6 hours of work, the tear sealed completely. Space returned to normal. It worked. Vexthor breathed. It actually worked. We need to deploy teams to all 17 tiers, Dr. Song said. We have 70 biotech ships available. If other species are willing to help, we can teach them how to operate the technology. Working together, we can heal all the tiers before they destroy any systems. The Council immediately agreed. Over the next 40 hours, human ships worked alongside vessels from every Council species. Human scientists taught alien crews how to use the biotechnology. Species that had never worked together before cooperated to save their shared worlds. The humans were patient teachers. When someone made a mistake, they explained calmly how to correct it. When someone succeeded, they celebrated together. They treated every species as equals, regardless of how advanced or primitive the Council considered them. One by one, the subspace tiers were healed. Systems that should have been destroyed were saved. Billions of lives continued peacefully, never knowing how close they had come to annihilation. When the last tier was sealed, the Council gathered again in their chamber. This time, they invited all the human crew members who had participated. Captain Kim, Dr. Choi, Dr. Song, and dozens of other humans stood in the Council chamber, looking small among the towering alien beings. Vexthor rose from his seat. His crystal body glowed with every color of the spectrum. The Galactic Council wishes to speak. Humans, you have done something remarkable. You saved the Krill from starvation. You saved 12,000 colonists from death. You saved entire star systems from destruction. You did all this despite being rejected by us, despite being called weak and useless. The chamber was silent. Every eye and sensor focused on the High Magistrate. We were wrong, Vexthor said. We judged you by physical strength and found you lacking. We looked for power and saw weakness. We were blind to what makes you truly special. Jakara stepped forward. You do not have the strongest bodies. You are not the smartest species. You do not live the longest or move the fastest. But you have something we lack. You have the ability to see suffering and respond with compassion. You have the ability to face enemies and seek understanding. You have the ability to work with nature instead of dominating it. These are not weaknesses. These are the greatest strengths any species can possess. Talara approached Jin-Su. Ambassador Park, on behalf of the entire council, I ask you formally, will humanity accept membership in the Galactic Council? Jin-Su looked at his fellow humans. Captain Kim nodded. Dr. Choi smiled. Dr. Song gave a small bow of agreement. Jin-Su turned back to the council. We accept, he said, but not just membership. We hope for something more. What more could you want? Vexthor asked. Partnership, Jin-Su said. We do not want to join the council as junior members who follow orders. We want to build a true union where every species learns from each other, where your strength combines with our empathy, where your technology merges with our understanding of cooperation. Together, we can create something greater than any of us could achieve alone. Vexthor's body blazed with golden light. Then let us begin. Not as superior and inferior, but as equals, as partners, as friends. The council voted unanimously to accept humanity, but more than that, they voted to restructure themselves. They would no longer judge species by military power or technological advancement. They would value all forms of strength, including compassion, diplomacy, and the ability to heal rather than harm. The first Human Council Academy opened on Earth 6 months later. Species from across the galaxy came to learn from humanity, and humans went out to learn from them in return. The exchange of knowledge and culture began to transform the entire galaxy. Jin-Su stood at the Academy's opening ceremony, watching humans and aliens working together, learning together, building a better future together. Captain Kim stood beside him. We were dismissed as weak, she said quietly. Yes, Jin-Su agreed, but we showed them that the greatest power is not the ability to destroy. It is the will to connect, to heal, and to protect others, even when we ourselves are fragile. Especially because we are fragile. Our weakness taught us empathy, and empathy changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had hoped for.